Hello, my name is Elena Gomez, and we're going to be talking about gender roles in advertising. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be looking at is television gender stereotypical advertisements. That's going to be the focus of the study, and the reason why I'm looking at this is because advertising starts at a very young age, and because it starts so early, we are affected by it, and I wanted to see how having these gender stereotypical advertisements at a young age can affect us in our adult life. And my thesis is that women are more susceptible to gender stereotypical advertising than men are. So the chapters covered from the textbook is going to be Chapter 6, Conformity and Influence, and Chapter 9, which is Persuasive Messaging. And Chapter 6 explores conformity, and this applies because advertisements try to use conformity to get people to buy their products. And Chapter 9 is used because it is about persuasive messaging, and it talks about how advertisements use implicit forms of advertising for their benefit. And then the chapter also talks about quality versus quantity and gain frame versus gain loss, which can also be applied. Alright, so the first one is going to be Pepperina 2013, and in this one she is looking at how each gender is affected by advertising, and she hypothesized that women are more affected in advertising or affected by advertising than men are. Alright, so what she found was that women are more susceptible to advertising than men are, and the type of advertising that affects them the most is word-of-mouth advertising, which applies to Chapter 9 on how different types of framing and implicit versus explicit can be seen in advertising. The next study is Zaire and Coleman 2014, and they looked at how advertising can affect people in a professional setting. So what they looked at was how gender is portrayed in advertisement, and they also wanted to see how ethical these portrayals are. So the results for the second study showed that women are portrayed in advertisements to be more weak, silent, protected, while men are more immune to negative discourse, and they're more of the loud people, and they have the more say in the company. So this affects women the most because women can't be seen to be in positions of higher power because that is what is for the men to have. And this plays into Chapter 6 when it talks about conformity, because these advertisers play into these gender stereotypes and try to get each gender to conform to these stereotypes, and the most negative stereotype is for women. So the last study, I'm sorry if I say this wrong, it's Eskedum 2017, and in this one it looks into how women feel about gender roles in advertising. So Eskedum investigated two types of stereotypes, behavioral and characteristic stereotypes, and she hypothesized that women were aware of blatant stereotypes in advertising. So the results of this study showed that women are aware of negative stereotypes in advertising, and not just that, women don't want to buy from brands that portray women in a stereotypical light. But on the flip side, women will buy from brands that portray them in a non-stereotypical light. So if Dove did a commercial portraying women in a very negative, stereotypical light, women aren't going to buy Dove products. But if Crest just did a very neutral, non-stereotypical advertisement of their soap, women are going to buy Crest more than they are going to buy Dove. And this plays into Chapter 6 because it covers conformity and how advertising tries to get women to conform to these gender standards, but women are aware of this and they're trying to not conform with these stereotypes anymore. And it can also play into chapter 9 with implicit approaches, because advertisers try to be a bit more implicit when doing these advertisements. So in conclusion, women are most susceptible to gendered advertising, not just in the fact that women are portrayed in a negative gender stereotype compared to men, but in the fact that women biologically are more affected to advertising than men are. And advertisers can use this fact to gain sales from women. They could play on women's insecurities. They can play on women's fears to get them to buy their products, since we are most susceptible to those advertisers. So in conclusion, advertisers know how to play on women, keep women in gender stereotypes, and we are most affected by these gender conforming ads than men are. So in conclusion,